Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, the recent unprovoked attack by the Afghan Taliban on Pakistani military posts along the international border has raised alarming concerns about the intentions of the Kabul regime. The incident, which took place from 7th to 9th of September 2024, was not an isolated event, but rather a continuation of a dangerous trend. We will try to examine the intentions behind the Afghan Taliban's aggressive posture, their use of terrorists as their proxies, and the implications of this behavior on regional peace and stability. We will also analyze the humanitarian consequences of such incidents and the impacts on trade and commerce and the role of international community and organizations in preventing such attacks. We will also examine the long-term strategic implications of these incidents on Pakistan's national security and foreign policy domain and explore the reasons behind the Afghan Taliban's refusal to cooperate with Pakistan, especially in combating terrorism. To discuss this very important issue, we have in our studios Mr. Ahsan Hamid Durrani. He is the policy analyst. Most welcome to you, Ahsan. Thank you very much for your presence. And with him, Hassan Khan. He is the senior journalist and expert on Afghan affairs. Most welcome to you, Hassan Khan sir. Thank you very much. And online joining us, former ambassador Mr. Shahid Kiyani sir. Most welcome to you, Shahid sir. Thank you very much for joining us online. My first question to you, Ahsan, that what actually prompted the Afghan Taliban to initiate an unprovoked attack on Pakistani military posts along the Pak-Afghan border from 7 to 9 September, resulting in a fierce exchange of fire in which reportedly 16 Afghan force personnel, the de facto forces, they killed and at least 27 injured and 2 tanks destroyed. So how do you see that, what kind of provocation that was and why Afghan Taliban is opting the conflict for any sort of a issue?
Well, I think there is a method to this madness. There is a strategy. There is a purpose that they are doing it, and the reason is that Afghan Taliban. It's been almost 3 years since they have been in power, and they have, as a government, they have failed to deliver on the promises that they have made to the Afghan people in terms of improving economy, governance, in terms of improving security. I think attacks like these are a distraction from the problems that they have at home. Be mindful that anti-Pakistanism is a popular thing for any government to do in Afghanistan in order unfortunately to appeal to a certain specific sections of society. And Afghan Taliban are, on that path, continuing on that path to distract its masses from the problems at home. At the same time, I think what they are trying to do is build pressure on Pakistan to cooperate, to co-opt it in, getting international recognition. They are building pressure on Pakistan to remove the fence, which they don't recognize. We have seen various statements from their top-tier leadership, second-tier leadership, about not recognizing the international border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. I think all of these are pressure tactics on Pakistan to co-opt it in a lot of different areas of cooperation. But these provocations are doomed to fail, and I think they will only create more problems upon Taliban authorities. Instead of doing such things, I think they need to engage in dialogue.
Definitely, they are not creating the problem for their self as well, but also for the people of Afghanistan and the people living at the border areas as well.
Exactly.
So, Hassan, Afghan troops firing on Pakistani security forces stationed at the border is not an isolated incident. Such attacks happened in past as well, and mostly these attacks are intended to give fire cover to the terrorists to infiltrate from the border areas to enter Pakistan, and we know that for terrorism. Also supported the to the criminals and the smugglers to cross the border, because as soon as the regime got strict on our side of the border, it happens quite regularly. So, how do you see this whole of the situation?
I think, Faisal, it's more likely that which you are saying, that the Afghan Taliban, or for that matter the Afghan forces, whether it's Mr. Hassan has rightly pointed out, it's not only the current government, even
yes,
the past
in
too,
past as well, yes.
And this method in the madness is, I think it's continued. So definitely we can say that there is a purpose behind such unprovoked firing on the Pakistani checkpoints, which are bordering or which are guarding the infiltration, even its own guarding the Pakistani border. So it's quite unfortunate, but I think I see it not something a policy from Kabul. It seems to be a localized affair. If it was a policy from the Kabul, I think definitely there would have been certain reactions, and they better kept quiet on this. It is a very low key, what you call it, statement from the Kabul. So I think this is a problem, and in this border issue, along especially Pakistan-Afghan border, it has a history of such like attacks, either from Pakistan side or either from their side, like Pakistan's crossed the, definitely to chase the terrorists and their hideouts. We targeted their hideouts across the border there. So they are also sometime, what you call it, in retaliation, sometime to take a type of a revenge, sometime to just make the people quiet who are raising hue and cry over the Taliban silence over the Pakistan's provocations from this side of the border. So I think it is a very complicated issue. Apparently, your statement is right that it might be a cover to let the terrorists, let the TTP people infiltrate while diverting the attention of the Pakistan security boy guarding the
because there are some reports that because within Afghan Taliban there are lots of factions, and the border areas of Kunnar, Nuristan and all other areas, their de facto governors or the regimes over there, they have lots of differences in between as well. They are supporting the TTP and other factions. So might be they are in isolation using it, or Kabul regime is using them as policy.
That's what I said, that I'm not seeing it as a policy from the center. I am saying it is a localized affair. You may call it the differences within the Taliban factions. You may call it a local Taliban commanders trying to do in a machoism style. The way I'm responding, the Pakistanis cross-border attack on the terrorist hideouts, etc. It is not what we call it something managed from Kabul. This is a properly things properly done or properly planned, etc. The one at Torham, that was a totally different issue, because at Torham the issue was at the checkpoint. The Pakistani this time the Afghans were building, I think they were building the checkpost, and Pakistan tried to stop them, because there is an understanding that if you build a permanent structure on either side, so either side has to be taken into confidence.
Definitely.
Without taking each other into confidence, neither the Pakistani side can do a permanent structure, neither the Afghan side. So that was a different issue. But the one in Kuram, it is totally a different one, and that area is very much I think prone to infiltration, especially this
because of the geographical location as well, because this is just like wedged between
it is called a parrot beak. This area is called a parrot beak, because the Pakistani territory just enter just like a parrot beak inside the Afghan area. So it is very much, I think, strategically what do you call it, located, or strategically important, especially for the infiltration, for the smugglers, etc. So likely that maybe one. But I think on the other side, Afghans are very much, I think, what you call it, it plays as more to emotions and playing to the galleries, etc. Right, from either this government or the other one. So maybe they say, look, we have attacked Pakistan. Look, we have, I think, taken a revenge from because Pakistan also tried to head the terrorist side out across the border, host area. So I think maybe there are various reasons But the things has happened. Pakistan has responded and responded, I think, in a very befitting manner.
Yes, definitely.
A lot of casualties on their side and no casualty on the Pakistani side.
Definitely. Mr. Ambassador, some reports indicates that along with Afghan Taliban de facto forces, some terrorists equipped with heavy weapons also took part in attacking Pakistani military posts. So these reports again confirmed that Afghan interim authority is now openly using terror outfits as their proxies against Pakistan. How dangerous this trend is actually?
In the last 34 years that I was in the Foreign Service, I've not only interacted with Afghan diplomats, but also been to Afghanistan a number of times. Let me just tell you very straight. First of all, we should now, and I've been saying on this program a number of times, forget this word brotherly relations. They don't exist. They just don't exist. National interest dictate.
Definitely, we don't have to use it because in international relations, there is no friend and foe, but actually the interests which prevail. So we have to use international relations in a real manner, in a according to the theory of realism, rather than to be through emotions.
Yeah, national interest dictates relationship between countries, and you find it on the roads here, left and right. Our brother Afghans. You can read utter nonsense, I'm sorry to say. Second thing I don't agree with Hassan Saab is it's a localized affair. It's not a localized affair. Hassan was right, I'm just going to say. Right from day one, I tell you frankly, from 47 till today, successive Afghan governments have never accepted this border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. You look at Durrani line, you go on the website of the State Department, the occupying force, former occupying force, or you go on the website of FCO, which has been the colonial power. Both say that Durrani line issue is a closed subject. Now, for the successive Afghan governments, they want to live in the 13th century. Well, they can live in the 13th century. For Pakistan, our borders are sacrosanct. The fencing of the border was the most wisest thing the government of Pakistan could have done. Borders have to be fenced. You should know where the sovereignty of the country lies. Yes, because we are neighboring countries, you can have as many, border posts, the entrance of and exit of these, for example, like Torkham, you can have as many as possible. But any Afghan or Pakistani crossing over has to have proper documents to cross over. That's it. Simple mathematics.
That's right. Absolutely.
These
So, Mr. Ambassador, when we are talking about, do you not think that such incidents could only deteriorate and negatively impact the already fragile relationship between Pakistan and Afghan Taliban regime right now? The Kabul's behavior suggests that it's not ready to cooperate in any manner, rather using nefarious tactics to further spoil the existing situation.
You see, I'm quite surprised that at one time the Taliban, if you look at their programs and look what they've told the UN, that we are in total control of the Afghan territory. If you are in control, how come these TTP people and others, extremists and terrorists, cross over into Pakistan, kill our people, their soldiers, and then go back? This cannot be accepted. I tell you, this cannot be accepted. The Afghan government have been told a number of times. My own suggestion is that this issue, I have not seen on the floor of the parliament this issue being discussed. This issue needs to be discussed on the floor of the parliament. Let the foreign minister and the defense minister take the parliamentarians to conference as to what is happening. They need to draw up a policy as to how to deal with the Afghans. And I tell you frankly, let no other person than the elected members of the National Assembly, as they say, of all the political parties, they need to sit down together. Let the government lead another delegation. There is no harm in it. Only elected people of all parties. Let them go and talk to the Afghan government. There should be a proper way in going, telling them, yes, we have come back to you. We want to tell you that our people are getting restless in our country. We are elected people. We have the mandate of the people to talk to you. Enough is enough. We are neighbors, no brothers, forget it. We are neighbors. We have business interests, people to people contact. We have language. We have so many commonalities. Let us live like good neighbors. As they say, geopolitical, realities and the significance of coexistence. Let us coexist. And please, you should wake up. This is not the 13th or 14th century. What do you want to impose on us? We have our own system.
Your point well taken, sir. Your point well taken. Hassan, how do you analyze such a situation that is it not meant that after more than 40 years of infighting in Afghanistan against rival groups and then against the foreign forces, obviously, Afghan Taliban are in search of another battleground, rather building their own country, giving birthrights to their fellow Afghans and maintain friendly relations with the neighboring states, including Pakistan. Why they are not opting this option?
Look, Faisal, I think this is, you are talking of a normal functioning state where the state, where the government, where the institutions are focused on their people, on the country, on the welfare of the people.
But Afghan Taliban Authority claim that they are going towards the normalization.
This is what they claim, and they also claim that there is no TTP. They also claim that there is no TTP. They also claimed what Mr. Hassan said, that the border, it is a contentious border. So claiming something is a different thing. Then what's the reality?
But the TTP has the allegiance with the Afghan Taliban,
yeah,
and what Afghan Taliban is saying is right, because they have the allegiance and they are one.
That is the fact.
It is us that we are, and because we are facing this terrorism from Afghanistan. And that's why we are time and again stressing upon that.
This is not the first time. And quite unfortunately that the Afghan Taliban regime, or even for that matter the other government in Afghanistan, they are, without realizing, I think I have to refer to the statement of Pakistan's current army chief, who has, I think 2-3 times asked the Taliban government that please do not give preference to the terrorists over a friendly, brotherly, neighborly country like Pakistan. So I think it's not once, 2-3 times, anyone on the defense day, again he referred to this statement that I'm once again telling them. And unfortunately, so in the first Taliban won, since when they took over, why they lost the regime? Because the world was searching for the Al-Qaeda terrorist. And they were hell-bent upon it that they are our friends, that they are our guests, etc. And this is our culture. This is quite unfortunate. The same is happening right now at the moment also. TTP, these few terrorists, a handful of terrorists, maybe in thousands, maybe in hundreds, but unfortunately without realizing that this handful of elements, terrorists, which they are keeping for their, what you call it, archaic, tribal, cultural, claiming that this is our cultures, not to, because once they were friends and what we call it, camaraderie. So again they are, I think, denying not only Pakistan, but they have also ETIM, which is China specific, IMU, which is Uzbekistan specific, TTTT, which is Tajikistan specific, etc., and Turkmenistan's Islamic movement, etc. So it's not only Pakistan which is facing, I think, this policy implications of Afghan Taliban and this ideological things, that they have this problem. For us, TTP is a terrorist organization. For Chinese, ETIM is a terrorist organization. For the world, IMU is a terrorist organization. But for Taliban, they are not the terrorist organization. They are still searching for a definitions. If you ask, if you confront a Talib leader, so definitely will tell what is the definition of a terrorism. So the problem is their ideological inclination. I think I agree with Ambassador, and he rightly said that our generation of diplomats, foreign office, the past journalists, etc., they use these things, what it's called brotherhood, ummah, the things like it. It is quite, I think, enlightening for me that now we are realizing that what we have done in the past, instead of focusing on the Pakistan's vital national interest, we created permanent enemies. This is, I think, the only country where we created our foreign officers, our other officers, they are the government policy makers. They created permanent enemies. They created the words like ummah. They created the words like, brothers, we are still taking, okay, the iron
it's
brothers.
Okay. Yes,
so
yeah,
I think this is good, and I agree with him that this is the time Pakistan's as a Pakistan.
Definitely we should realize in the realistic terms that what actually it is.
And this is good,
I think. It is between the relation between the two neighboring countries, two sovereign countries, and we have to deal it with in the same sense.
So I think we still remember the days when we call ourselves Ansars, when we call the others Mahajers. So I think instead of reincarnating things which are
definitely your point well taken, Hassan. Your point well taken.
For the national interest.
Hassan, first time ever we have seen reports that the Afghan Taliban brought tanks at the Pakistan-Afghan border. We haven't seen in past this type of gesture. So
except in 50s and 60s.
Yeah, definitely it was long ago, but not in the last 40 years.
Last 40
so it means that they are not ready to take decisive action against the terrorist outfits at their soil, what the Hassan rightly said. What sort of dangerous game Kabul is actually playing? Why they are not utilizing diplomatic channels to resolve the issues, to fulfill their promises with Pakistan and also with their own people? And why they are not coming at the negotiating table? Why the trigger is always, their fingers are always at the trigger? Why? What's the reason behind?
Well, let me unpack this whole situation, Faisal. Afghan Taliban are still finding their feet and struggling to act as a government, as a responsible government. They are still, I think, behaving like a ragtag group, which they were previously. And I think what I'm seeing, there may be, yes, divisions between the ranks of the Afghan Taliban at the leadership level. There may be some groups which are more belligerent. There may be some groups which have cooler heads. But I think what they need to realize is what is in their core national interest. What serves their national interest? Is it bad relations with Pakistan? Does it serve the Afghan people? What if Pakistan completely cut off trade with Afghanistan? What if Pakistan completely abandoned Afghanistan agenda on international issues? Since Afghan Taliban came into power, Pakistan has organized a number of international conferences for Afghanistan's rehabilitation and reconstruction. We have held foreign ministers conference here in Islamabad, in which we invited foreign ministers of almost 40 countries to Islamabad to work for reconstruction and rehabilitation of Afghanistan. I think Pakistan will be a big and can become a big enemy for Afghanistan if Afghan Taliban wants it. Otherwise, Pakistan can be a very friendly neighbor. Pakistan can serve, can be a very important tool to serve the national interest of Afghanistan. Bringing tanks to border, I think, again, it's a policy, Faisal. No local leader can bring tank to border without having a nod from Kabul. It may not be on a piece of paper where they are given instructions, but there is a way to stop this. Has that local commander been punished? Has he been removed from the post?
We haven't seen any report. We haven't heard anything.
Any statement we did one authorities.
There was no regret from the Kabul as well.
Exactly. So I take that as a policy. On the other hand, I think Afghan Taliban are becoming increasingly frustrated with the situation that they have. We have seen that they are unable to counter ISKP. Still, ISKP has been operating. They are unable to stop ETIM, although China has repeatedly told them. With TTP situation, I think on the one hand, they are using it as a leverage against Pakistan. On the other hand, they are scared of TTP as well. Let me point to that angle as well. Whenever you tell Afghan Taliban that you need to stop TTP, they say, oh, we can't stop it because we see that they may defect towards ISKP. So I see that as a weakness on part of Afghan Taliban. Why, if you think that you have taken control of all of Afghanistan, if you are so powerful, and if you're so in control, why can't you just control a group of 5,000 to 6,000 people? And then we see reports like the UN analytical team's report, which says that, and this is not what Pakistan says.
Not one report, but the two reports.
But in fact, series of reports, exactly, which says that the TTP chief Noor Wali Masood takes a monthly salary of $50,000 US from Afghan Taliban, and the report says.
Yes.
So we have profound evidence of supporting that, which says that Afghan Taliban are actually not just providing safe havens to TTP, but providing actual support. You have a huge black market. They have a huge black market of leftover US weaponry, which is open to TTP to procure any type of weapon that they want and use against Pakistani authorities on a daily basis.
And that black market used another black market to train their people to how to fly the aircrafts, to have the spare parts. And they are getting all the weaponry right now even.
Exactly.
The supply is not blocked from any side.
Exactly.
So it is on, it is going on.
Let me just conclude this point by saying that, Faisal, I think that it's time that international community, especially US, China, Russia, they get serious about Afghanistan. We have seen that General Mike Corella of the US CENTCOM has testified in a Senate hearing that Afghanistan can become a breeding ground for transnational terrorist groups and can attack,
and now they have all the fodder available. The manpower is there, the ammunition, weapons are
exactly.
there.
Exactly, it's a very conducive. It's a very conducive environment.
Yes, very conducive.
So I think it's need of the hour for international groups and powers to come together.
Definitely they have
and focus on Afghanistan as well.
Mr. Ambassador, what role should the international community and international organizations, including the United Nations, the regional and especially the neighboring countries, have to play for to tackle such a situation in Afghanistan, preventing such unprovoked attacks and the wave of terrorism against all the countries, particularly the neighboring countries, including Pakistan, from the Afghan soil? And as regional and international community seems least entrusted, but Ahsan says, stressing upon that international community must come forward to tackle this situation, otherwise it would be a nightmare for whole of the world.
First thing first, the United States has to answer as to how many it knew, as they said, A.G. Wells, famous saying, shape of things to come. It knew that the Taliban are inevitable, they will come and the Americans will have to leave. How come they left all these weapons, latest weapons, weaponry in Afghanistan in the hands of the Taliban? Meaning this is something I don't understand. You give these, as they say, kids, these toys, and do you think they're going to keep it like this? This is what they are doing. They are giving left and right to the TTPs and others. This Taliban, people, I just want to tell you, they said it's a movement and they have overthrown the Americans and they can't govern. I'll take you into history just very briefly. The Americans in the 18th century, they drove the British out and they formed a government. In Indonesia, Ahmad Sukarno led a movement against the Dutch, threw them out, formed a government, and you can see where Indonesia is. In Cuba, Fidel Castro left and led a movement, threw out the Spaniards and formed a government. In Iran, revolution, it's a functioning government. How come the Taliban are unable to? Do you think why are they not ready? If they want to coexist with Pakistan and other neighboring countries, it has to accept, first of all, the borders between these countries and then stop interfering in the affairs of the other countries. You want to impose your system, they need to wake up. Now, coming back to the other countries, the Americans say they become a hub of, again, international terrorism. First of all, why did you allow the weapons to get into their hands? Number two, at this time, the Western countries and Americans' focus is not Afghanistan. I'm telling you frankly, it's a joke. Their focus is, would Russia lose the Ukraine war? And how to, push India to contain China's emergence. Both of them will fail. And third one is keeping quiet on what the Israelis are doing in Gaza. And the whole Arab world is quiet. So these are the things happening. Afghanistan, believe it or not, is not on their table. But not on this. Just these are statements come from the United Nations and others because they know what to do. They can squeeze the Afghans to stop this thing. The money is lying in their banks if they want to use it. We are the ones suffering because the end user are we. Every single day you look at our people, the forces people losing their lives, the common man losing their lives, the police people losing.
Definitely, Mr. Ambassador, you are absolutely right that we are actually suffering. Our civilians are suffering. Our security forces are laying down their lives daily, actually, because of the terrorism inflicting Pakistan, and it is everything is happening from the Afghan soil right now. So it is very unfortunate that Afghanistan is not ready to compromise and not ready to cooperate on that. So Hassan, what are the humanitarian consequences of such incidents, particularly what is happening at the border areas? We have seen in Chaman, we have seen in Kuram, we have seen in Chatral areas, now we have seen in different areas, other areas of the border. So particularly for civilians living in the border areas, while the Islamabad is very much sincere in its effort to resolve all issues through dialogue. We were already stressing upon it and negotiations. Whether Kabul Interim Authority is having any sincerity to work towards preventing such incidents in future, or the same tactics and the same attitude will prevail?
Look, Faisal, I think, let me first say one thing. I think we are making a very complex issue, trying to make it very simple, I think. Pakistan is completely externalizing this issue of terrorism. Yes, there is an element of external factor is there. How much internally we are ready and we are making efforts, both security-wise and both political-wise, because this issue, the current issue, yes, we are too much focused on kinetic things, too much focused on facing it with guns and bullets, etc. But here is a political aspects also, and you are well aware of it, how much our political capitals like Peshawar and Islamabad are in coordination, are Islamabad and Quetta. Let's be honest, because our home is burning, our people are getting killed, our security boys are getting martyred, etc. But the reality is that we are not that much, I think, serious in addressing these issues from multiple sides, from multiple aspects. Okay. So yes, the security aspect is there. The political aspect is completely missing. The social and political aspect is missing. 1. 2, I think we have too much focused on Afghan Taliban, that Afghan Taliban, if Afghan Taliban can do this, and Afghan Taliban can do this, and they shall do this and that, etc. I think this issue is not Pakistan, Afghanistan specific now. In my first statement, I tried to make it that it has turned into a regional thing. This one. Asking the international community, are expecting something from the US, are the Western worlds to stabilize Afghanistan, to cool down Afghanistan. I think it shows that we are too naive to the situations. And look, Afghanistan in a current state of situations, the boiling Afghanistan, I think it is in the interest of the powers that be, definitely, because this region we have like, look, it's the world, I think more than 50 to 60% population is in and around Afghanistan or Pakistan. So you have 5 nuclear states in and around Afghanistan.
Definitely, region is very volatile on that account.
You have 2 superpower bordering, almost bordering Afghanistan, and the big superpower is not accepting these 2 superpowers. So I think we have to make the canvas a bit wider, instead of looking at this issue through a narrow prism and just focusing on the turban wearing Afghan Taliban, etc., and expecting that if they disown these TTP people, the issue will be resolved. If they flush these people out, the issue will be resolved.
But Hassan, the problem is that at least first of all, Kabul has to realize that what they are doing and what actually they have to do. The region comes second, and we are talking about.
Do you believe that Kabul is acting independent?
It is not about our belief. Yeah, it is about it is about their action. If they don't want it, it means this whole of the situation is going to be volatile.
Day before yesterday, the same Taliban were in Pakistan. Now we are claiming it, openly claiming that we have given them housing and clothing and medical and other facilities. Were we accepting it? Were we in a position to flush them out? No. That was practically not possible for us to flush all the Talibans and Afghans out of Pakistan. Pakistan was a stronger country as compared to, Pakistan was having stronger institutions as compared to Afghanistan. What my point is that instead of getting emotional, instead of passing on the responsibility, instead of externalizing the whole things, sometime we also need to look inside.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This
and we
point
have
is
to
very
look at the
valid.
political
This point
aspects
is-
of it.
yes, you are
Taliban
right.
are responsible. I'm
You are
not
right.
saying,
You are
I'm
right.
not completely absolving Afghanistan or Taliban from this issue. They are. But at least...
You are right.
Yeah.
We have to fulfill our responsibilities on
To
our
an
side,
extent,
and
political
then
side
I
and
think
the
so
other.
that then we have to look towards Afghan as well on that account. Ahsan, in past we have seen the impact of such unprovoked incidents, that it had severely impacted the vital flow of trade and commerce between both the countries, the common man on both the sides, particularly the people who are living in divided villages. Including the traders and the business communities, also those Afghan coming for medical treatment or education in Pakistan suffered a lot. Why Kabul is not thinking about their people, the humans, those citizens who have the needs, and they are relying upon Pakistan?
Yeah, I think Faisal, Pakistan one border is not just its international border; it's also a living border.
Yes, it is.
You have communities living on both sides of the border. They have inter-tribe, inter-country marriages.
houses.
They have divided houses. They speak the same language. They eat the same food. They practice the same religion. So, in essence, it's a living border. It's a thriving community across the border. So, but since it's international border, both sides, both countries have to respect it, and Pakistan has always respected Afghan border, Afghan sovereignty. I think it's time for Afghan authorities, Taliban authorities, to hold their end of the bargain, and by doing that, I think what they will do is that they will ultimately pass on the benefit to Afghan people, because if trade is stopped, people not just in Afghanistan but in KP as well, they will also suffer. People in KP have business ties in Afghanistan. So I think it's not just harming the business interest of the Afghan people, but also for some people in KP as well. And this is why people in KP, when Taliban came into power, there was some soft corner for them, that they might be they might change Afghanistan the way it is. But now that that is changing. It's not that soft section is that goodwill is going away for a Taliban authority.
Definitely,
it's something for them to ponder upon.
Yes.
That their goodwill in Pakistan, especially in the Pashtun-speaking region of Pakistan, is going away. Countries spend billions of dollars to cultivate goodwill, and they had that, but with their actions that they are bringing tanks to the border, they're targeting our security forces on the border, that goodwill is going away. Then of course, Pakistan has the largest scholarship program, the Allama Iqbal scholarship program for Afghan youth.
Of course.
Each year 7,000 Afghan students come to Pakistan to study. We have built a hospital in Jinnah Hospital in Kabul. Correct me if I'm wrong. Pakistan, thousands of Afghans come to Pakistan daily basis for their health checkups. We have business ties. Afghans do business in Pakistan. Pakistani have business ties with Afghan. So a lot of interconnectedness is there. And I think with actions like provocations like these, they're harming the interest of their people, not just their people, but our people as well. And I think it's time for them to seriously ponder upon who are their real enemy? Are they becoming an enemy of themselves? And who are their friends?
Definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely. You are absolutely right. Your point well taken. Mr. Ambassador, Taliban interim authority knows that the Pakistan and Afghanistan has the mutual economic interest in the geopolitical and geographical geoeconomics, demographic contiguity. And if they resolve mutual concerns, a whole region can benefit and both countries can have immense dividend of it. But what makes Kabul to always prefer stalemate? Whether it's Indian and the US money, the weapons, or the influence which is working in Afghanistan right now?
I don't have any proof, so I cannot, allege that Americans and the Indians are doing it. Let me be honest. Maybe that is that may be in the news. There is a possibility, but I have not seen any solid proof of that. But the fact remains is that we need to focus on the bilateral relationship between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and I would again say to you, the recent attack on the Pakistani border post, this was a very, very serious provocation. I will again say to you, sir, and I say to you that there is now we should now focus on, you know, China has already given it some sort of de jure, recognition. So as UAE have given it. My own objective is, yes, we should keep, Iran, China, because these are bordering countries which have serious, issues with them, even Russia together. And this is one thing which we need to do in a diplomatic manner. The other thing I again want to say to you, sir, is hundreds of articles have been written on how to deal with Afghanistan. My own, sir, again, I would reiterate, there is now an urgent need for the parliamentarians, for the government to bring this issue on the floor of the House. They need to talk, they should discuss. And then the way forward, I think a high-powered delegation of the elected people, I tell you, elected, not others, the mullahs and other, please, let's keep them out. They need to, a bipartisan parliament committee, led by the foreign minister himself or the defense minister himself, with foreign office officials. We should go and sit and talk to them and say, put sanity into them. Look, you are now, you could earn the respect of your own people and the respect of your neighbors. Stop harboring these people in the long run. You will suffer. If you have no trade, you have no business, the investments will not come to you. And then development partners are willing to make your basic health units, to improve your schools and others. Stop doing this thing and let sanity prevail. That is what I can say, sir. Because the other option of, attacking and killing them is always on the table. Because you cannot, on a long-term basis, justify to the people of Pakistan that, yeah, they can come and attack us and we will not, attack those areas where they have given refuge to the TTP.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you very much for being with us online. Thank you very much, Hassan, for being with us here in the studios. Thank you very much, Hassan, for your presence. Viewers, as you have just listened to our panelists, Afghan Taliban attacks from their soil is a real concern, and they have to eradicate all those sanctuaries and the safe havens which are available for the different proxies, for the different terrorist organizations who have took refuge at the Afghan soil. And for that matter, Afghan Taliban authority must have to think about their people and don't have to divert their attention towards Pakistan or any other neighboring country. Mr. Ambassador Shahid Kiyani stressed upon that there must have to be a parliamentary debate on the situation inside Afghanistan, what is happening at the Pak-Afghan border and what Pakistan is confronting and what Pakistan is facing regarding the terrorism. And some of our panelists have the view that we have to keep our house in order and we have to fight the terrorists, and particularly the Azm-e-Istehkam strategy that must have to be a success, including the SIFC has to attain successes in the economic and all other fields. We should also keep or take in confidence the Iran, China, Russia and all others to at least the neighboring countries of Afghanistan to not only have peace in Afghanistan but also to get some sort of a solution to the terrorist organizations who have took refuge there in Afghanistan. UNSC reports and all others are very much clear on that front. So this is all from today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.